Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer is on her way out thanks to term limits, but Democratic Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson hopes the state stays under another woman's control, hers. Benson, who's been Secretary of State since 2018, launched her bid for governor on January 22nd, 2 days after President Trump returned to the White House.
If elected, the Democrat will have a tremendous road ahead, figuring out where the party went wrong in the Great Lakes state after the loss there to Trump, Kamala's loss, in the last election. Jocelyn Benson's forthcoming book, The Powerful Warrior, details experiences that help turn fear and frustration into a fight for integrity and truth. Secretary Jocelyn Benson joins us now. Welcome to Rising.
Thanks for having me.
So why don't we start by inviting you to explain why you're interested in running for governor?
Well, I'm serve as the chief election officer right now in our state and have seen how important it is to make sure you have people of integrity managing state government well and also listening to our residents. I talk to every voter in our state because my job is to make sure they all have a voice in our elections. And in doing so, I've seen how important it is that Democrats listen better and really deliver results on kitchen table issues, saving people time, saving people money. The other thing I do is I run the DMV. And I've been able to actually make one of our largest state agencies run more efficiently than ever before. It's now become the poster child of a well-run government system because we've modernized things, we've cut wasteful spending, we've eliminated red tape, and delivered results for residents, all without needing a chainsaw or firing people indiscriminatorily. So from my standpoint, this is a moment where we need administrators who can run agencies and government well to do so and to step up, but also with the determination to stand firm in defense of our values, as I've done as the Chief Democracy Officer for the state.
In relation to defending values, I hope it's not rude to say that the first time I think you came to national prominence was in the wake of the 2020 election when you upheld the integrity of that election in Michigan at some threat to yourself. There were armed protesters outside your home at one point, fired up by President Trump's false claims of election fraud. To that extent, maybe you got a ominous taste of what was to come, but what do you make of President Trump's conduct since coming back into office this time around?
I think this has been an opportunity for the president to turn the page and actually deliver results for residents, making their lives easier, showing that government can actually cut the wasteful spending and costs that he pledged to do when he came into office. And instead, we've seen, a continuous leaning into the very types of hateful rhetoric and division that has made our country less prosperous and more divided than ever before. So I do think this is an opportunity for leaders of both parties to really listen to what citizens are saying, which is that they want government to work better, but they want us to do that in a way that will save them time and save them money, and not get into a lot of noisy fights, but just work together in an honest, collaborative way to deliver results. And I do think at a time when the federal government isn't doing that, as much as it perhaps is done in the past, it is a moment for states to lead and for governors in particular to demonstrate that government can save you time, it can save you money, it can get out of your way and make your life easier. And that's what I intend to try to show as governor of Michigan.
I like those ideas. I like the idea of government being more efficient and more out of the way. And as a native Michigander myself, I grew up in Michigan, I have been intrigued to see this state become, along with Pennsylvania, the two most important electoral swing states for our national presidential contests, having ping-ponged back and forth in the last couple cycles. What do you think that Democrats need to do to be, certainly they're competitive in the state, but to actually win the state next time around?
I think it means we've got to show up better for people all throughout the state and actually deliver results. We can't just say at a time when costs are rising on everything from childcare to housing to food that we're going to do something about it. We actually have to deliver. When I took office, wait times at the Secretary of State branch offices were 7 hours, saving and wasting a lot of people time and wasting a lot of people's money. And I changed that. I actually now ensure that we're cutting costs, we're cutting wasteful spending, and making people's lives easier. So I think we need to show up in every community in our state, not just before an election, but every day, and listen to people as they tell us, look, I can't afford to buy a home in the community I want to live in. And then we as government leaders need to develop bipartisan solutions to actually make, for example, the rising cost of housing more affordable and address those concerns. And so my track record of listening and delivering results, I think, is why I've been able to win the statewide multiple times now. But at the same time, it's a moment where Democrats can step in and say, we hear you and we're going to deliver for you, and here's how.
I get that the purview of governors is primarily domestic topics and the kind of kitchen table issues that you just stated. But of course, in Michigan, foreign affairs and domestic matters are kind of interwoven because obviously the state has a very significant Arab American population. Back last year, there was a lot of focus on how the situation in Gaza would affect the presidential election in your state. So, that is obviously a very viscerally felt issue for many Michiganders. Where do you stand on that topic of what's happening in Gaza?
Well, whether I'm sitting down with the mayor of Dearborn or talking with leaders in our Jewish community in our state, I know one thing is clear. Everyone wants to be able to afford a home in the communities they want to live in. They want to be able to address climate change at a time that doesn't negatively impact their ability for their kids to drink clean water and breathe clean air. And we all want to be able to, if we're parents, send our kids to quality schools and know they're going to come home safe. So I talk about those issues, those very focused issues on Michigan and how no matter where someone lives in our state, what their faith is, who they love, or what they look like, or where they come from, that I can make sure that Michigan is on their side by investing in economic issues that will lift all boats and ensure you can live where you want to live, be safe in the community you want to live in, and send your kids to quality schools no matter where you are in our state.
Well,
Those are issues that we can.
Yeah, well, that's fine, and those are all valid points. But I wasn't asking a trick question. What is your view on what's happening in Gaza?
I think, in my view, governors need to be focused on economic issues in their state, and that's what I've been doing. As someone who has been all around the state of Michigan and talking to folks from Houghton to Hillsdale to Grand Rapids to Detroit, that's actually what they want to hear our government leaders talk about, unifying issues that can bring people together. And now I'll also, though, mention we do have a Canadian border as well. And so it is important for governors to be focused, for the governor of Michigan to be focused on economic development opportunities in partnership with our neighbor to the north. So there are some international issues that I think it's important for governors to be able to weigh in on. And those are the ones that relate to the economic well-being of all of our residents.
Speaking of economic issues, Governor Whitmer, for instance, was recently actually with Trump in the Oval Office and kind of put up a screen to not love being there, I guess, and then made some comments about the tariff policy that has generated a lot of criticism from Democrats, but actually said that while she agrees with Trump, disagrees with Trump specifically the way he's doing it, she does still think tariffs are important. The markets have reacted very negatively to the tariffs. You just said that economics is a big issue. Economics as it relates to Canada, Michigan's very close neighbor. What is your thinking about the economic policies of the Trump administration, the tariffs in particular?
I think, tariffs can be a useful tool in limited ways to address and improve economic prosperity in our state. But if they're used just sort of bluntly and recklessly and perhaps to further personal issues as opposed to really what's best for our state and our nation's economy, then you're going to see some of the negative impact to our economy that we're already seeing, not just in Michigan, but nationwide. So as I've said, as our Senator Alyssa Slotkin has said, and as the governor said, tariffs can be a tool in a toolbox for promoting economic prosperity in a manufacturing heavy state such as Michigan. But it has to be done carefully with data, with diplomacy, not recklessly and without regard to the broader economic impact that something's going to have, not just in our auto industry, but in other elements of the manufacturing industry in Michigan and throughout our country.
I get that, all these points about economics and so forth. I have to confess I'm slightly surprised because I was expecting you to be more confrontational, I suppose, about President Trump's record thus far, particularly given, your time as Secretary of State and the mob outside your house and all the rest of it. I mean, do you think he is dangerous to democracy?
Yeah, I think that's been proven time and time again. And the tragedy that unfolded at our U.S. Capitol on January 6th really underscores how low not just the president, but others will be willing to stoop if they are unhappy with the results of an election. And so from my standpoint, my job as the Secretary of State and Governor will be to make sure we're protecting the economic prosperity of our state and the educational opportunity of all of our residents. But I will never hesitate to stand up to anyone, be they the most powerful elected official in the country or the richest man in the world, who would try to block the rights of our citizens at the ballot box or anywhere else. And I think that's also what we need from governors right now. Governors can and must be the guardrails against encroachment on our rights that affect not just the economic well-being of our residents, but the physical safety of many. So I do and intend to continue to be someone who will stand up to protect the rights and freedoms of every resident of our state against anyone, anytime, anywhere who would come for them.
Michigan Secretary of State and gubernatorial candidate Jocelyn Benson, thanks for joining us on Rising.
Thanks so much for having me.
Next, RFK Jr. faces backlash over new comments on autism.